Borders are a very interesting topic in geography. Have you ever wondered why some countries have such unusual border shapes? For example, why does India have such a strange border with Bangladesh in the east? Or why does Cameroon have such an elongated shape? Or why has Argentina extended so deeply into neighboring Brazil? In this video, we'll talk about these panhandles using several examples. Let's start with India, which I've already begun discussing. India generally looks fine except for this territory in the east. We can notice that this side of India and that side are connected by only a tiny strip of land known as the Siliguri corridor. This awkward situation arose as a result of colonialism. At that time, it was British India. So, when India gained independence from the United Kingdom in 1947, the British decided to divide India into Hindu and Muslim parts. Pakistan became the Muslim part, and at that time consisted of West Pakistan here and East Pakistan here. Meanwhile, the northeastern part of India is connected to the rest of the country only by the Siliguri corridor, which is just 27 kilometers wide. North of this corridor lies the Indian state of Sikkim, which separates Nepal from Bhutan. By the way, a little over 50 million people live in this part of India, and as we can see, this population is connected to the rest of their country by a corridor that is only 27 kilometers wide.
There is only one place in the world where the borders of 4 countries intersect. This is where the borders of Zambia, Zimbabwe, Botswana, and Namibia intersect. However, Namibia has a very peculiar panhandle called the Caprivi Strip. What is the story behind it? In the 19th century, almost all of Africa was divided into colonies. This territory belonged to Germany. The then German Chancellor, Leo von Caprivi, after whom this strange ledge is named, wanted the colony's border to extend to the Zambezi River to use it as a shortcut for transporting goods, thus saving time and money. Caprivi asked Britain for this strip of land to access the river, and in return Germany offered Zanzibar. The British, of course, agreed. But why? The British already knew that the river was unsuitable for transportation of goods because it had a large waterfall. Discovered by the British, this waterfall was named Victoria Falls in honor of their queen. The Germans did not know of the waterfall's existence. When Germany found out, it tried to nullify the agreement, but the British refused. As a result, the German colony in Africa remained in this unusual form, eventually becoming the country of Namibia.
In Europe, there are also such borders. For example, in Italy, specifically in the province of Trieste, it stretches 48 kilometers down Italy's coastline to Slovenia. But why did this happen? The fact is that this entire area was once part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire. After World War I, Italy seized part of these lands. Then came Mussolini and the defeat in World War II. Italy lost almost all the territory it had gained in World War I. Trieste became an independent city-state under UN protection in 1947. But this only lasted until 1954, when the territory of this tiny country was divided between Italy and Yugoslavia. In Afghanistan, there's a narrow strip of land known as the Wakhan corridor. This part of Afghanistan stretches 300 kilometers from the rest of the country, and at first glance it might seem entirely pointless. However, it gives Afghanistan a tiny land border with China and completely separates Tajikistan from Pakistan. While this may not seem significant today, if we rewind a century, the reasons for its existence become clear. In the 19th century, the Russian and British empires were competing for territory in this region. Russia controlled Central Asia, while Britain ruled India and Pakistan. To resolve the dispute between the two empires, the Anglo-Russian Agreement of 1895 assigned the Wakhan corridor to sovereign Afghanistan, creating a buffer zone between Russian Central Asia and British India. Let's pause for a few seconds. We would like to announce that we have a store with maps that we can send anywhere in the world. You can follow the link in the description and place an order. Another example is the DRC, or the Democratic Republic of the Congo. This country doesn't have just one, but 2 distinct panhandles. It was once a Belgian colony, and the Belgians created what's known as the Central Congo to give themselves access to their vast colony from the ocean. The second panhandle is in the Haut-Katanga province, extending 200 kilometers into Zambia and varying in width from 70 to 100 kilometers. To understand why this happened, we need to rewind again to when the Congo was a Belgian colony and Zambia was under British control. The two sides couldn't agree on the colonial boundaries, and the Belgians wanted access to resource-rich lands. As a result, both parties asked the then King of Italy, Umberto I, to intervene and draw the border for them. Knowing virtually nothing about Africa, he simply drew a line on the map. Belgium and Britain accepted it, and that's how the border that still exists today was established. These protrusions are not just international borders, but also regional ones, such as state borders in the United States. The story of Oklahoma's Panhandle, a curious stretch of land, is rooted in the political complexities of the 19th century. The Panhandle's origins date back to the Missouri Compromise of 1820, which prohibited slavery north of the 36 degrees parallel. When Texas joined the Union in 1845, its northern territories crossed this line, forcing Texas to choose between retaining the land or permitting slavery. Texas decided to cede the land, which was eventually divided among Kansas, Colorado, and New Mexico. However, the 34-mile-wide strip of land between Texas and Kansas remained unclaimed, earning the nickname No Man's Land. Eventually, in 1890, it was decided to incorporate the area into Oklahoma, giving the Panhandle a permanent place on the map as part of that state.